Hey everyone, welcome back. We, as you can see, got a lot of stuff up, got a lot of things to go over. You're at the Northern Light Railroading Train Room, and I'm Lance, your host. So we are here another Sunday. It's a little windy out today, a lot colder than last week. Last week it was in this, well, this morning we got up, we had to get out this morning, and it was 48 degrees. So we got a cold week coming this week, so it's really feeling like the time to be working on the layout. And that's what we're going to be doing, working on the layout. So it's just that time of year. It's a good time of year to be just spending time having fun doing this stuff. So we're glad you're here. We're glad you've joined us. I hope you're having a good Sunday. There's a lot of news from this past week about the channel. I want to go over all of that because you may have noticed some things, you may not have. If you've gone to our homepage, there's been some new things added to it, and it's all because of what happened this week. So we'll get to that here pretty soon. Let's see, I'm trying to think of anything else that we need to cover before we get into it all. Well, I guess not, because it all ties together. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to get started with the news. So the news is, right off the top here, is we got enough hours finally. We hit the target hours that we need to, and I want to thank you all very much for that. Past couple of weeks, the videos have been just going crazy all across our entire catalog of videos. The two biggest ones that really pushed us over the top were the Menards, the one that showcased the trains, and the one that showcased the CAT equipment. Those two actually gave us the hours we needed to get to that stage. So now we're in the partner program with them. So you'll start to see a few changes with that. The important part for that for us is, and for you guys, for us to you, is going to be it will give us some monetary means coming in to help keep this rolling without having to have Patreon and relying on that or memberships or anything like that because of the commercials the ads are going to be putting in. Oh, well, thank you. Somebody said glad to see it's working out. It did. It did. It was 16 months to get to this period. And a lot of times we wanted to give up on it because we just thought this is just ridiculous. We were always going to build this. We just decided to document everything that we were doing. And it just kind of worked out that way. So now it's to the point where we can really make this expand and make this grow, and you're going to see a lot of content coming in. We've already got a load of videos that are coming this week alone. We've got probably going to be averaging 3 to 4 videos a day. We've got run videos, we've got build videos, we've got review videos. I've got some stuff coming, some new, I think I've got a couple of cars and a few other things coming in that are actually new products instead of like we did with this one. We put a video up with that. That's one I got at the train show. But we just reviewed it because it came without the box and everything, and it was used, but we have some brand new equipment coming. I just went ahead and there's some cars I've wanted for a while, so I went ahead and got them. I'm going to do car reviews on them, and by next time we all get together, we will have the lower level will be completely done around here, but I'll show you that in a little bit, and we'll actually be able to run some trains, and I'll be able to, when I do reviews, I'll be able to actually put stuff on the tracks in the HO anyway. And we've got a way of getting some in-scale running too that we're playing around with until we get the actual real track in. There's going to be a way we're going to be able to do some runs up here and be able to do some testing and show off some new stuff for you guys and give you some reviews on things like that. So,
Jeff says, I'm not on Patreon or anything else other than YouTube. The others are a hassle.
yeah. Well, hello to everybody that's coming in, and yes, we agree there's a lot of hassle with like Patreon and things like that, and you have to go outside of YouTube itself to do things like that, which is why we never pushed it. We've had our Patreon for quite a while, and we put a number of videos on there that we took off of here, but they weren't train related. They were actually from a master model builder named Bob Letterman. There was an auction house here in town that actually got his entire, well, not entire, over 2 summers, they got almost his entire collection of scenes, modules that he built about World War II and World War I. And there was some iffy things in there because of flags and things like that that we just didn't want to mess with, but we put them onto that. And so we just never really messed around with Patreon all that much. So that's all we put into there. We don't want to do, we're not going to, I'll tell you guys right now, even though this last week getting in the partner program, we didn't apply when we could have. When we hit the 3,000 hours, we could have applied for the memberships and all that stuff. We just didn't bother with that. We just went ahead and ran all the way through till we hit the 4,000 hours, and then they just, of course, included all of it because you could get it. So we don't. I mean, we probably will have a membership thing, but we will not have it as a paywall. You will not have to become a member to see any content. It's just a thing. If you decide you want to become a member to help out the channel, that's great. And if you don't, no problem either. But that's, I've had in my own experiences on channels that I like to watch, I have seen, and it's very discouraging. I've seen I love like their work. This is not train stuff necessarily. This is just about anything. You see their line of stuff, videos, new videos, and then you come down and you see members only, and there's some really neat stuff there. And it's like, well, I don't really want to do that. So we understand completely about that because personally it turns me off as far as that goes. I still go watch their other videos, but I won't do that. And so I don't want you guys thinking that you're going to be missing out on anything. You never will. We're always going to make everything free for you to see and enjoy. And if you always have any questions about anything, we're always happy to answer any questions either in the live sessions or later. But anyway, that was a huge milestone for us to do. We were pushing hard, and we really wanted to give up a number of times over the past 16 months, but we just kept being persistent about it and just hung in there, and it worked out all right. So that's where we are. So
Jeff said he made a small video on how he made his thing out. Crochet Lady says, great, congratulations. And Closet Branch also says hello.
we had some people that have said they've made some videos. One said he made a small video about his layout, and if you would like to share it, you are more than welcome to in our community section. We have that set up for people to share videos, pictures, anything you want to share. Feel free to share as long as it's train related and it's appropriate. Nothing that's going to get us in trouble that I have to go in and censor. You know what we're talking about as far as the little figures go and stuff. So if you'd like to share it, be happy to see it. Just put it up there, make some comments about it. We'll take a look at it, but just love to see it. And we had a few other people say hello. So hello, I'm glad you're here. So anyway, we are to that point now. So this next week is going to be a big build week for us. We will have, like I said, we're going to have this HO going. We are going to have the new building coming in over here this week. And you may notice over here some things have changed in the background area over here. And I'm going to get to that just a little bit. This whole area has been reworked. Again, this is why I said way back when we were starting the live feeds, this is why I didn't glue any track down. Because had I glued stuff down, and I would not have been able to change it without doing a lot of damage and having to do a lot of repair work. But the flip side of that is I haven't been able to run anything. But we'll be rectifying that situation this week. So I think what we'll do is our standard. I'm going to get the camera, and hopefully you guys. We had a real issue last week, and we identified what the problem was, and I'm very sorry about the quality of last week's video. That was just terrible. On my screen, when I was standing walking around, my picture was crystal clear and sharp. I had no idea. Turned out it was a bandwidth issue here at the house. We just had way too many things going on last week, and it was really causing some issues with uploading. So we don't have that happening this week, so you guys should be seeing a really good crystal clear shot. So when I get ready to walk around and do things, I don't think I'll have any issues like we had last week. And so it'll kind of be good to go over everything again, because when I reviewed that video, you really could see the stuff I was talking about last week. So this is going to be a catch up from last week and a new thing. So we will get to that, and then we will talk about what's coming, and we'll just go from there. All right, so I'm going to get the camera, and we're going to start like we always do on the city side, and we'll work our way around, and then we'll do both levels, and then we'll come back and we'll do a question and answer period. Okay, this is where it really started to go south on us is when I picked this up last time and started moving it. But like I said, my picture is perfectly clear. Okay, now we did do an update on the layout. Some of you may have seen it, some of you may not. I'm just going to go over stuff kind of quickly that we had gone over that in our midweek update. This is the first big thing that we had that we added in. I primered this, got it painted. I'm sorry that it blends into the wall right now. You can't really see a whole lot on it, but once we get the blue sky in and get the wall treated and a few more buildings in the background with contrasting colors, this will really stand out nicely. This week I'm going to start putting the window glazing in and start working on the window shades and all that kind of good stuff. So this will look really good within a week or so. And then again, this is where I know I keep talking about it. I promise you it's coming. We have a 2-tower coming right here, a double tower building about 3 foot tall. That is coming. Okay, so the second thing that happened was we painted this all the way across, and I glued all of these right here, all the support legs to this. All that's left to do now is to get these sections right here and have them between the legs right here. These will have to be custom made to fit the different sizes, but that's no big deal. We can get all that done. So that should be finished here pretty shortly. So, and I've got this just spinning around. I'm going to always try to have a car I've done, a weathering or something built, something custom, always spinning around on the turntable out here or someplace so you can kind of see some of the new stuff. This was a container car. You can see all the weathering that's been done to it. You see down here on the walkways, all the rusting, all that kind of good stuff there. So this is one for a friend of mine who buys the work when he loves container cars and intermodal, so he winds up getting and Maersk. He loves those two things. So I've got a few of these things ready to go for him, along with some road railer stuff. Okay, so swinging around here. Okay, I'll do this first. I showed you one last week. I don't think it really came out well. It was the Kansas City Southern. Here's another one of my artworks that I did. I think I drew this drawing about maybe going on about 15, 18 years ago. It's all done in colored pencil. You got your sharks and you got your PA for the Delaware and Hudson. I just love that paint scheme. I love war bonnets, and I love what they did with that paint scheme. It just looked really sharp on those. I think the original drawing took me about 60 hours or so to do, and it was just slightly larger in size than this. So that was a fun drawing to do. Okay, now back to at hand here, what we've done. All right, some of you may remember we had sitting right here, we had a rock face like this sitting right here coming out from the wall, and it was right here, and we had this sitting in front of the rock face. Well, I didn't like that. I never liked the look of what that was going to be. I didn't want it that way, so what I've decided to do is right here we're going to extend this elevated track, and it's going to go all the way down in front of these this time. These are going to be at the back. The file's going to be at the back. The track's going to be in front of double track elevated. Right here with a switch coming off the single to give us a siding. And what it will happen is the siding is going to be an unloading area for what is going to be, I'm going to have, when we get the background painted and put into place here, the backdrop, I'm going to get a nice image of a cargo ship, one of the bulk cargo ships that they load concrete, whatever into, that's going to be just visible in these open areas behind here. So that this is going to be a loading area right here for whatever bulk materials I decide this is going to be, whether it's going to be food related or concrete related or whatever. And we'll have on this elevated track right here, we're going to have a conveyor that's going to go over between, and I will paint on the backdrop. I'll have the loading arms painted that will go down that you'll see going into the ship on each side right here. And then of course up here on top you'll have all of the piping and conveyor processes, and it'll have its arms that go and do the same thing. So that'll be on the track that's up on the top. You'll see that going to here. And I'm going to make these right here a little or more than wide enough right here to come along the front to where I can put 2 tracks right underneath right here, to have 2 tracks along the front right here for unloading tracks for the material that can either be stored. I'll have a variety of points that it either can go down for storing into the silos, or it'll be just going straight to the ships. And it'll have the big elevator right here. That's going to go right here. Oh, somebody had to leave us, but they said to have a good day, everybody. So hope you have a good day too. Thanks for coming and joining in. So this is how this has changed right here. I'm going to build this next week and get it looking really good. I've never done a 2-track up on this kind of a thing, so this is going to be a good experiment to get everything worked out. So that's that. Nothing else over here has changed. I will be getting the foam this week. The big thing that's going to happen, I just picked up the lumber today, so tomorrow I am going to be, this is down in the HO area here. This is going to be coming across back behind. Tomorrow I'll have this all built. It'll come behind the table here. You won't see a lot of it. It'll just be a pass through over here and coming over here, and I'm going to connect up back over right here. So that's all going to be built tomorrow. So that's coming. I kind of went over the top of this. This one I don't think was painted last week. I got it all fixed and everything, and then I painted this. This is Rust-Oleum. No, this is Ace's like a reddish brown oxide primer, and I painted the whole thing. All of this beam work was painted in that color, and I don't think you can be able to see it right now. I don't have a light at this end, but I did blacken the ends right here and all the way underneath the entire thing for the smoke that would be coming off of the engines as they come through, that blacken the underneath and black, and then coming right out here. When I build the platform up here that the station's going to be on, that'll be more of a light gray for the concrete and stuff. So the black that I'll put on that, you'll see a little bit better than you do on this dark ruddy brown right here. It's on the same on this side. Now you might be able to see the black a little bit better on this side because of the lights, but I'm not exactly sure. But yeah, so that's that all got done. So that's, to this point, that's what we've got done to there. I'm just trying to make sure we got everything covered. Over here, here's the building I told you about last week. That was the original building of this, and I will have it finished, and we're going to put it back here in this corner right here. I think that'll look good back behind those tracks, and it'll be almost like a background building, but it'll be a full building. And then we're going to have the new building right here. We're going to have a really tall one that's going right here. That's going to be printing at the same time as we're doing this one over here. So we should have all of those here pretty quick. So this was just a very full week doing a lot of projects here, a lot of painting, a lot of building, because I've also been working on these right here. These are also for the friend of mine. These are some, what were these? These were Concor. These are some very old, limited, out of production Concor 45-foot containers with their own chassis. So I did the same thing I always do. I weathered everything up. And get that out of the glare here so you can see this. The whole thing's been weathered all the way around with all 3 colors, and it's already been treated with the dull coat, so I'm not worried about handling anything right here. So those with their trailers right here, those all get put together, and those are going on a 5-pack of the fuel foilers that are over there. And these are the rest of the trailers that go with that. So that is where that is. So I did bring up the rest of our engines. I don't know if I had this down here and I showed you guys this last week or not, but we set up a test track here, and this is a AMT F59 that I got in that goes with that car set that's up on top right there. This will be one of the first things we're going to test out the track as we do it down here. Now, if you hadn't been with us before, this is all going to be city right here, just like this is up here. But we're going to do this with forced perspective down here. So starting, let me get a light on here. So starting about right about where this car is sitting, we're going to have a lower track here, and we're also going to have an elevated track going along here. Starting right about where this is where the city line itself will start. These buildings that are all at this depth back will be HO structures. Those will go back to about right here, at which point, right in here, at which point we will shift to N-gauge. The N-gauge buildings will go back to about right here, and back here will be T-scale. So that when we're looking down at it, so let's say, for example, we're down at eye level or street level or whatever you want to see, because we're going to have streets with bridges that go under. So as you're like looking down this way, everything will get really small very quickly. So it'll look like it's a much deeper back than it really is. So we'll be doing that forced perspective through this entire area right here. All the buildings will be built in 3 different gauges at 3 different distances. I think that'll make for a really good looking city. Instead of it just looking flat like we've just stacked buildings on top of each other and just shoved things into a space to make it look as full as we possibly could. I really, with the artist in me, I don't like that kind of an idea. So I'd rather, I look at everything from a painting point of view so that we can see how it's going to look as we go along like that. So I think that'll look pretty good. So that's coming up. We'll start on that layering process probably within the next 2 weeks. Okay. I think that's all that is new this week. I know I keep promising that we're going to do an actual build, but you'll see it when in the title that we're actually going to be doing work on it. But now that I've got this up here and in, I'm going to be able to really start putting some track down and things now that I've actually figured it out. So we'll probably be doing a track laying, release roadbed anyway, on one of the next 1 or 2 live streams that we do. You're going to get to see that kind of stuff going on. Okay, so that is pretty much, well, yeah, and these shelves all came down. I don't remember if these were down the last time or not, but I've got all the openness that I need right now, all the way around except for this shelf, and I'll be getting rid of it soon. Okay, I think that will catch us up. Hang on a second here, and then we'll discuss things a little bit more about what's coming. All right. So, as mentioned, I'm going to get this around just a little bit more so make sure I'm in the picture. There we go. So as mentioned, we did hit those numbers. And thank you for all of that again. So you will start to, what we're going to do next broadcast we do of this, we're actually going to set some, especially if it's a big build thing, and we may be here for a couple hours just doing build stuff. Either carving, running wires, doing scenery, whatever we're doing. We're going to build in, right now, this one won't get any ad breaks in it. You're not going to have to worry about missing anything. What we'll do is we will probably put break times, because I get to where I get a little froggy in the throat. So probably about every 20 minutes we'll put a break time in on which is something we couldn't do before, but we can do now since we've hit the partner program. We'll probably go away for like a minute so I can get something to drink, so I can get things cleared. Because I'm getting a little froggy right now. And just make sure I've got everything ready to go for the next part, and then we'll come back. And you will not have missed anything in between. So all you have to do is just hang out for a minute. It gives you a minute to take a break, do something as far as that goes. So that's coming up. Let me think about some of the stuff that we did. Oh, we just did a couple of things we've done with the videos this week. We just did a review of Hobbytown in Rockford, Illinois. It's not too far from us. Great place to go. Now look, I do want to say, as I have reiterated many times, we are not sponsored by anybody. We just review places that we like, or things that we get that we like, and that might, pass that on to you. Hobbytown in Rockford, there's a guy named John down there. He's the owner. I've known him for a lot of years. I've bought a lot of stuff from them. They have some of the best prices on anything that there is. They're always a little bit off of retail, if not a lot off of retail. And they also have one of the largest selections of the hobby towns that are in the country. With as many brick and mortar shops that have closed down over the years, I know this is more of a corporate type versus the mom and pop types, but at least it's a place to go. I get a lot of stuff there. I get my dull coats there. I get a lot of the glues, my putties, everything that I need that I don't necessarily, that I need, like, I don't know if I don't want to wait 2 or 3 days for it to come in the mail, I'll just drive down and go get it. I've got some cars and stuff coming from him. That's some of the stuff that we're going to be reviewing. So go check that video out. There's some really neat stuff. It's all very central U.S. Oriented. The roads that they carry, which makes sense. So we did that video. I'm trying to think of some of the other really good ones that we did recently. Oh, we have an update coming in about 2-3 weeks on the Menards. They're starting to, they brought some new stuff in, so we've got an update on that coming. So that'll be coming up to show you those things. We've definitely got tons of run videos coming. We've got a build video, well, not a build video, but I mean well, it is a build video, but not a layout build video, but a thing coming of what I did on these, a little more extensive what I did on these Maersk trailers on how I did the process. So that'll be coming. We're going to be starting to paint these right here. I'm going to be doing that in the next week to two. So I'm probably just going to set the camera up over here on the work table. I've done that before where I just have it aiming down, and I'll just be, these are all going to get hand painted. I've got the primer on these buildings painted, spray painted on there, so everything's nice and smooth. But I'm going to be hand painting with just a regular brush and acrylic paints. I've gotten to where I can keep everything really fluid and to where it flows nicely. So I'll show you. Oh, okay. So I'll finish talking about that here in just a sec. But somebody asked if we're using a DCC system. We will be using a DCC system right now just to test. I'm throwing my leads up in the tracks, 4 leads, 1 on each wall, and onto the sidings. And then I'm just going to be testing with that. Once I get all the bugs worked out on the tracks, then we'll go in, we'll start with the DCC up. I haven't decided on, I had a Digitrax and I really liked it, but I've been reading reviews on other brands that people have been raving about, so I'm not sure who I'm going to go with at this point. I may just stay with Digitrax. I don't know, because I'm already familiar with the programming and how to do all that stuff through them for the engines. So I just don't know yet which I'm going to do. For right now, it's just this plain little controller right over here. It's an MRC controller that we'll just be using just to do the test work with. Once I've done that, I know I'm happy with it. I'll hardwire everything in, and then we'll start shifting over because I kind of have to. And the reason I kind of have to go with the DCC is because of how small the room is. And you may think, well, why is that? You think the DC would be better. Well, we want to run multiple trains on each track, especially when we do our live feeds. Because when we do our live feeds of the trains running, I don't want you sitting there bored waiting for that same train to roll all the way around, however it goes, to come back around. So we will be running 2 trains per track. So we have 5 main lines on the N scale. So that means I'm going to be running 10 trains once we get everything settled. That's impossible to do on DC. I mean, you could, but the fact that you'd have to test every to make sure it can pace with the other engines. Whereas with DCC, you can set speeds and you can play with it a little bit. And once you get it right, your trains will never hit each other. So because of the fact of the 5 main lines, it's pretty much going to force us to do the DCC on that. Plus, there's just really some good things with DCC that features with the engines that are great. That I like, that I want to start using. And these other DC packs, I'm probably just going to downgrade those to just being lighting. Underneath all of these areas right here underneath the shelf areas where all the main lighting comes in, I'll be taking a piece of track, probably a piece of Atlas Flex track, 3 foot long, and I will be screwing it up into the bottom of the board on the underside where you won't see it. It'll be underneath. And what that's going to do is every time I do a building and I need to light it up, I'm going to run the wires down and I'll put alligator clips on the ends, and I'll attach the alligator clips to the track that's underneath there. So if you imagine a 3 foot long track and having to have the 2 wires, 1 on each rail, going all the way down, I can put probably 50 buildings on a 3 foot piece of track. And then at the one end where the power hooks up, I'll put a resistor of some sort on there just to make sure I don't burn any lights out. And then I'll run the power through that into the track. I'll make it really simple to where I don't have to worry about cutting or doing anything. When I'm ready to change a building out, all I got to do is just unclip the alligator clamps things and just unscrew those off the end, take the wire up out, bring the building up, take the wire out with me when I go, and then run the new one right in. It makes for a really easy switch out of lights or electronics for any kind of electronics you're gonna run. You just have to be careful with whatever you're putting on there, what the light requirements are, the power requirements are on the lights and whatever animation things you have going. I may have to wind up putting a couple of tracks up there with different voltages so that I can, and I'll just have to remember what needs to go to what by just clipping them on will make it easy. So that'll be a simple way to change things in and out. You don't have to worry about quick connectors, any of that kind of stuff, or any hard wiring. So it'll be a really simple process. And I'll do that once I've converted everything over to DCC. I'll just downgrade the other power packs for doing that. So I'll just turn them on and everything will light up. If I want them lit up, I'll have a small kind of a control panel built down at the bottom that'll be on a set of rollers that comes out for the switches. Where if I want to do a staggered like lights coming on as evening sets in, I can do that, or maybe the rheostat type of thing to where they can just kind of slowly come up. So we'll do all of that when we get to that point. But yes, everything will go DCC. I've got a lot of engines. I'm not that confident in my ability to turn them into DCC. They don't have the quick plug connects inside. So I may wind up having to send those off, or I'll work it out and figure it out. People tell me that it's not too bad, but it's just, is it another thing I want to spend time doing? So most of the engines and things I'll buy right now, and that I have bought, have got the quick plug connection inside. So that way I just put the board in and I'm ready to go. Except for sound, if I decide I want to do sound. The only problem with sound is in the smaller scale. I've seen it at train shows a lot. I don't think they're quite there yet with the sound. They're doing good, but you can't, it seems like it's really hard to mimic a low rumble like that there is, that you need to have, because you don't really have a bass speaker. It's basically a high-end treble. So everything's just very high-pitched. So I'm not, it sounds okay, but it's just not quite there yet. That doesn't mean in the next 10 years they might not figure something out on the electronic side of it and can simulate it even with a small speaker. But to me, it's just not quite there yet. So I don't know if I'm going to mess with sounds at this stage. I'm probably just going to go with straight DCC on that. I kind of like the sound of it going over the track and the rails anyway, and that great echoey sound that it gets. Especially since we're going to be using mostly this foam roadbed, it's going to have that. It's not going to be that loud abrasive noise. It'll be just kind of that low hum noise. So I kind of like that. So I may just leave that for a while. But you never know. I may get an engine in sometime. I do have. Where is it at? I do have a DCC. I thought that's right here. Let me just grab this real quick. Let's see. One of these three. Oh, here it is. Okay. So I got this. I don't know if you'll be able to see it that well. I got this at a train show. Fantastic deal I got on this. This has DCC and sound in it. I had these in HO scale, and I love this paint scheme. I absolutely love this Surfliner. I think that, and I'll have this up on the turntable one of these weeks, out of the package so you can really see it. The paint scheme on this is just spectacular. And I'll get a Surfliner set of cars to go with it. That one does have sound and DCC already in it. So when I get DCC in, I'll probably put it on there and play around with it. And then if it changes my mind about it, then maybe I'll go with sound. But these here do not. These, I don't even know if these have a quick plug in them. I don't know. I have to read on the back to see if it does. They're a little bit of an older model, except for this one. This is the UP, the Spirit one, and a Montana Rail Link. So I'll have to look and see if those have DCC plugs in them, but I'm not sure. If those don't, I am not going to do that myself. It's too small. I'll attempt HO for the lower on rewiring DC to DCC, but I'll send those off to somebody to have those done. And maybe if I'm doing that and I like this, I may have the sound added or may not. So that's that's where I'm at on the DC versus the DCC. My dad was DC his entire life. Uh, I tried talking him into getting into DCC because I thought, well, it's the way of the future and that's how it's all going, but he just didn't want to do it. So that's okay. It's forced me to learn it now, and that's okay. I'll get there with it. I do. I usually figure everything out one way or another. So that's going to be a challenge. A lot of things, like I've said, on this have been a challenge. I was an old screen wire and newspaper and type for scenery. Never did any foam the day in my life until I did this right here just about a month ago, and I carved all my own rocks and everything, and I will never go back to doing plaster castings and the old way of doing it with the foam and chicken wire and all that kind of stuff. Or not foam, but with the newspapers and tape and all that. It'll always be foam from this point out. You just cannot beat stuff like this. So I'm not adverse to doing new things that have been come up with, innovated new technologies, things like that. The only thing that's really going to kind of, I don't know, like I've said in other videos, I have seen friends' layouts and I've seen layouts at shows. I've been able to look at things and I've seen them online. How it looks like you really have to have an electrical engineer background with as much as there is underneath these layouts for when you're doing really advanced DCCs things. Like you've got crossings and you've got, it's activated. You got your signals, all this activated by things passing by and all that. And I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. It seems like there's a lot of work there for it. I mean, I know it's going to make it look real, especially when we're doing videos here, but I just don't know. So that pretty well covers the thoughts on DC versus DCC. I like both. They both have their advantages. DC is just so simple. You're up and you're going. You create a few block systems and you're done. A few insulated rail joiners and you set it all up, and it's no big deal. You just have to, if you decide you want to go opposite direction on the bike, you're going to make sure you flip the switch the right way so it's going the other way. But then DCC has all those great things. I mean, you could run two trains right up together and just, not hit, but you could bring two right, and you'd never be able to do that on DC unless you had one just sitting still. So as far as like realism goes, DCC is probably going to be it. But like I said, I'll test with the DC. So I think that pretty well covers that.
How did you decide to model two different scales rather than concentrate on one?
Okay, somebody asked, how did we decide on modeling two different scales instead of just doing one? And that comes from my dad's collection. I've done a lot of N-scale. I've had a lot of N-scale over the years, and I've collected stuff. That's just, for the size room that I have here, that was the size. My dad was always HO. So I got a lot of cars after he passed away a few years ago. Fantastic cars, some really rare stuff, some neat stuff. And I'd always built some really neat things for him. I think, we went over that. Let me show you here. We went over that a couple of weeks ago. This, for example, this was going to be his. I was working on this before he had passed. This was that B unit, the Santa Fe B unit. I didn't have enough time before he passed on to get this finished. But I always had some really neat things that I'd given him. I was going to give him this B25 set. That's another one of those things that just didn't make it to him in time. So I've got a lot of stuff from him. I've probably got, we've sold a bunch because that was his wish, was that his collection took care of my son's education. He wanted to help out with that even after he was gone. So we have sold a number of things, and it's been doing. That's what it's been doing. But I kept probably between 50 and 100 really nice cars, rare cars and things like that, and a few engines. And I wanted to be able to run them. I wanted to build something for them so I could showcase them and see them and all that. So that's why I have a level completely dedicated to HO. I was only going to do N-scale in this room. I don't even know if I was going to do, I think the original plan was just to do N-scale one level, and that was it. But after I got this one level finished, I thought, well, I've got all this here. I just got to get rid of a few things, and I've got an entire area I can do an HO. Okay, it's not very big, but I'll do a lot with the space, with what I've talked about doing. So it's going to look really good. I'll be pleased with it. I know when I get done, and I'll be able to run those kind of things. So that was wise because I just wound up getting a lot in HO that I wasn't quite expecting. So I've got the room for it here. I've cleaned everything out on this side. I'm going to build a massive display case where I can keep everything to where you can see it all. I can just pick what I want to run out of that. I'll custom build all that myself. So that's why I'm doing both scales. I know I would have had enough room over here. I was thinking about it. I have enough room on this wall right here, and it was a real consideration at one time of building a massive helix that went up this wall right over here because I only need maybe about 26, 28 inches in diameter to have done a helix that could have handled most of the large cars for N scale. And I could have just run these tracks right here, the few that I wanted, maybe take the two bottom ones here, and I could have gone across over here the way they're going to do it. But then I could have had a switch right here that would have shot over to the helix. And then the helix would have been enough to have either gone down below or gone one level up. So there was the potential, that was even up until about 6 months ago, of putting a helix right there and having a multi-level N scale. But then I started looking up in the attic. So we have a finished attic. It's got carpet, it's completely insulated, drywall, the whole works. My son does all of his homework up there, and he's got his systems and everything that he does his online stuff with. So the end of the attic down this way is just storage right now, and we're getting rid of a bunch of stuff this year. We've been pack rats for too many years. I mean, I'm not saying we're hoarders, we're not, but it's a lot of nice stuff, but we're just going to be getting rid of a bunch of stuff. It's decorations for the holidays that we're going to be getting rid of. And that gives me a space upstairs that's approximately 15 foot by probably 8 foot by probably 10 foot. I can do a dog bone up there. So the stuff that I was going to do here in N scale on these lower levels, I'm going to do up there. I'll be able to put an ore dock up there I've already got the STL files for the ore ship itself. I've got that all set to go. It'd take me probably about a week to print it. Everything with it, it makes it about 4 foot long, thereabouts in N scale.
Off-grid homestead says I'm restarting my layout after removing health issues. Now building an N-scale layout. DCC.
Okay, so somebody just came in and said that they were restarting their layout and that they were going with N scale. And for me, it was just a no-brainer, and for a lot of people, it is for either size limitations, like I'm talking about. Now that I'll have that space upstairs to do that, I don't have to worry about doing a lower level. I'll have more space up there to do it. And the other thing is cost. It shows, I find, for example, this right here, okay? It's brand new in the box, bought it at the show, I paid $70 for DCC and sound. Okay, the last one I had of these that I sold, because I buy and sell, that's how I fund my end of the hobby, is that and these buildings right here that we print and we sell. That's how I buy the things for myself. We had an HO one that was exactly like this, sound and DCC. It was rare. I bought it, I think, for $200, and I turned around and sold it for $400 within 6 months of itself. Now that was a few years ago or so. So, you know, $70-something to $200 to $400. You can buy a lot more, in my opinion, in N scale than you can in HO. The only difference I see on that is like in the used car market. The used car market seems to be about the same. I can generally pick up in both cars, both gauges, HO and N, I can pick them up for about the same price. Usually run about $3 to $5 a car at train shows. That doesn't seem to be the difference. The difference is in the motor power. That's where I see the biggest difference. And I've got my eye on a couple of engines at a hobby shop right now. I haven't done anything about it because of just funding. If I pick them up, they are the quick plug connects. And it's another Montana Rail Link, and it's a BNSF, and they're both ES 44s. And I think one is 90 and the other is 95. So that in a comparable in HO scale, I think last I saw for a standard version on each of those from that manufacturer was about 140 to 180, depending on where you could get it. So you almost could get two for the price of one. So that for me. It was a financial reason and a space reason, and that's how it is for a lot of people with InScale. So that's where we're. That's why I am doing HO in addition to N. And when we get all of this finished, and I move upstairs, what we're probably going to wind up doing is I may wind up bringing the city more over here, and some of the stuff here goes upstairs. I haven't decided yet entirely on that, but I'm going to do probably 3 mainline action up there, dog bone with some point to point, maybe a 4th line. So what is that? 15, like 10 and 12. So what's that? 27 and 37 feet of track. One way. So if you do a double main line around on the dog bones, you're looking at about 74 feet. So I can run a lot longer trains up there.
We've got a couple messages.
Okay, so anyway, we got a couple messages.
Closet Branch first says, I'm not only on the N scale. A lot of people would say N scale is harder to deal with as we all get older because of eyesight, etc. Do you feel the same way about the tiny size of N scale?
Okay, so let me answer that one first. We had a question about N scale, and do I find it hard to work in scale because of the size? That seems to be one of the biggest complaints is the size. Okay, there are some challenges to it because it is a lot smaller, and I'll let you know right now. I had cataract surgery 10 years ago, so I lost my nearsightedness, which for scale would have been fantastic to have the nearsightedness because I wasn't that heavy into scale 10 years ago like I am now. And that's why I had to quit the artwork, was because I could no longer see stuff up close. I could have spent 3 times what I did on the surgery and got those lenses that could do both near and far, but that was just, that wasn't in the cards at the time. So I use a pair of these, and I have this right here. You can probably see this. I find between those two things together, combined, that I don't really have any issues with working on small details and small things on scale. It allows me to get in close enough, and then I also have around here someplace, I'm sure you guys have probably seen them, or probably have yourselves. It looks like you're wearing little microscopes on the end of your eyes. You can flip one up and down. It's got 2 little lights that come in. If I really got to work on something up close, I'll put those on. But otherwise, I don't see really any issue. I still got enough dexterity. That's the other thing, as people have said, as you get older with the arthritis and things like that, that the dexterity in the hands. But I've adapted my tools to take care of that. I'll add like extra gripping to the handles so that I can keep a good firm grip on them, because with all the drawing I've done over the years, I've got a few issues with my hands. Probably going to have a lot of arthritis issues later, and so holding on to things tight is getting to be a bit of a challenge, but I'm adapting my tools as I go to make things easier. I'm finding things I didn't have to use before, like engine cradles and stuff like that, to hold things in those little, I don't know what the tool's called, but it's like a little thing that has little alligator things on the ends. It's like a vise, so you can hold things in different positions. There's stuff out there that makes it easy to work on. So there are ways of getting around it as you get older. It just depends on your personal situation. Maybe there's more conditions that you have that would preclude some of the things that need to be done that you wouldn't be able to do. So I would suggest looking into it. Try a few things out with working with tools on something. Looking at see if the glasses help. If getting some modified tools help. But I think by and large, I think for the most part, you can do it. And I'm finding that more and more is becoming available in scale. Used to be they only got about half the inventory that HO got when a new run would come out of something, and maybe not even any of it. But now they're really seeming to do it. So that must mean there's a lot of people doing scale if the manufacturers are starting to put out as much in scale as they are in HO. So there must be people doing it, and it must be good enough. So I would say if you don't have the space, but you can work on things a little bit and try some things out, I don't see any problems. I mean, you've seen the city that we've got built here. It's all in, and once I get everything painted and weathered the way I like it, I'd put it up against anything I did in HO as far as the finished product looks like. So I don't see any issues with that. So I hope that answers your question about my feelings on N-Scale versus HO. HO obviously is a lot easier to work on as you get older, but I don't think it's enough of a factor to warrant just only going with HO. If you like N, you like the way it looks, and it fits your space, go for it. Is all I can say, because that's what I'm doing. Okay, so we have another question.
Off-grid says my only reason for years of HO is N-scale stuff is rare, but with 3D printers and rescaling models, we now have lots of N-scale goodies, in my opinion. LOL.
Okay, so somebody just made a comment about what I was just talking about. He said the only reason he's gone with HO over the years versus N-Scale was the lack of product. But with the advent and onset of 3D printing and the manufacturers starting to put out more stuff, that it's no longer an issue. So that's kind of what I was talking about here. So that's the truth of the matter. I mean, HO was the only way to get all the newest and the best. But I have seen, Cato just made an announcement. I saw that this last week. They're going to have the Union, I think it's Union Pacific, the Abraham Lincoln engine coming out. I saw it, looks really nice. I saw the pre-production photos of it. Looks gorgeous. So I haven't looked in a while. I don't know if that's even out in HO yet. I mean, it probably is, but it probably hasn't been out in HO for very long. So the fact, I'm going to say this again, Cato or Cato, however you want to pronounce it, because I've been corrected both times, but I've heard it both times. So that's who's coming out with it. And I would say that things are rolling out just as fast now in as they are in HO. Like I said, the end results, if you just take your time, your builds and your weathering and your attention to detail, because there's fantastic things that you can do. For example, let's take the basic building right here in N-Scale. Let's see if I've got the stuff right here. Okay, here we printed off. These are little window air conditioners. Okay, they got great little details on them. They're going to go on the back side of the buildings in various windows. Not all of them, but staggered windows. Here's a nice air conditioning unit, a little bit bigger of an air conditioning unit that you can set a set of those on the back side. I've also printed this in a larger size. These air conditioners, I've printed those in like 3 times the size, so you could actually have them on the roof. So I've got weather heads with meters, electric meters, and they're all going to go on the back side. When I run my power lines, they'll have the wires drop down to them. They print out beautifully. They look great. There's also, I've even got, I got a whole bag full of parts down here somewhere. I don't remember where it is, but we printed off, oh, here they are. We printed off a ton of stuff. This is all N-Scale. These are all just air conditioners. These are all a variety of different air conditioners in N-Scale. And then we have, let's see here. Here's the other one. These are the weather heads, electric meters, and gas meters. So these take a little bit of care popping off of here, but you can put any details you want on these things now. They're fantastic. So you can take, and there's, you want a detail, you go on there, you find the file, you print it off, you're good to go. So all of these are going to be detailed like crazy, as good as HO gets in details. You just have to be able to go find the stuff, get it, and put it on there. So like our big tall buildings, I plan on getting really large air conditioning units. They have a commercial size look type. We're going to put them on the tops of the buildings, and we're going to create the elevator shafts. And like I've told you before, we're going to actually put like green spaces like you see on real tall buildings in big cities, where they'll have like a little park bench and some grass and stuff on top. We'll print everything off. So yes, with the advent of that, of the 3D printing and the ability to do those kind of things, and if you have a 3D printer yourself, there's guys online selling all this stuff dirt cheap. You can buy a whole package of like the air conditioners for $1 or $2 because they don't cost anything to make. So if you're wanting them, best source I have seen for them has been eBay. There's a ton of guys up there selling this stuff on eBay. All these little detail bits. Bike racks for out front, all those little kind of things. And if you get your own 3D printer, then you just start doing it yourself. It doesn't take any time, downloads just a few minutes, clean it up, and put it right onto the printer, and you're off and going. So virtually everything you see right here has been 3D printed. All these I-beams, this is what's great about this. I had a couple of guys up here yesterday. It's the first time they'd been to the layout, and they were actually down at the other place where I was selling some of my dad's stuff. They needed some switches. So the guy had heard, well not heard, but he saw my ad for the blast furnace that I was trying to sell, and he's an N-Scale. And he came with the guy with the HO, and he said, "I'd like to see that blast furnace." So I brought him up here to the house, and I showed him that, and he goes, "Wow." He says, "Boy, that is big." And he says, "I have the room for it," because it's huge. It takes about a 2 foot by 4 foot space in scale for just that blast furnace. That's why it's sitting up there. That's why I'm trying to sell it, because it just doesn't. I don't have the room. Even if I saved it till later, I don't know if I'd take up the space for it up there upstairs in the attic. So anyway, he says, "Are all of these I-beams 3D printed?" And I said, "Yeah." And I said, "The thing great about that is I give the measurements to my son. I tell him exactly how wide I want a beam, how long I want a beam, and how many I need of it. And within an hour, I have them. I don't have to cut them. I don't have to do any special things to them. You probably can't see it because it's so dark, but each I-beam has the end piece that would be where it sits on top of another I-beam, where it's bulked up like solid without the channel. It's like almost a solid square end to them. So I get, these things print off. So let me give you an example. This right here, total material and filament, I don't know, maybe about $2. Okay, so go try to find that online from the manufacturers of styrene stuff and see how many you're going to get for a couple bucks. So a 3D printer will pay for itself very quickly. If you've been on the fence about getting one, I highly recommend it. Start doing it yourself. Now, like on our buildings, you got to have a little bit of a knowledge on doing those kind of things. That's why we sell them. We even have people that have 3D printers and they just buy ours, because you have to go through quite a bit to actually make everything. My son's got software that takes care of all that for us. I tell him what I want. He says, he lays it all out. He says, "Come proof it." I proof it, and then he prints me off the panels, and I just start building. So to actually design something from scratch, like something like that, it's a little harder to do. But something as simple as this, it's not. You can go find the I-beams online, free STL files, take it down, and then you can just program in how long you want them to be, and you get it done. So that's how I do all of that. I kind of got a little sidetracked there. We got a little, a little off track about things available in versus HO and all that. But yes, at one time, HO definitely just outpaced in by a long shot. And what I'm seeing now is T is actually becoming really good as far as being able to get stuff. I remember when T first came out, and you had like 3 engines that you could choose from, 3, 4 engines, and maybe 10, 12 cars. And the other day I thought, well, I may be doing some T because I want to do that forced perspective. Maybe even in the N-Scale I'll do T, which I'm still debating about for the far background. And they've got quite a selection of modern equipment. Now that's where it's expensive though. They just don't have the what'll drive the price down is having demand, having more people getting into that scale, like has happened over the years with the other scales. So as more demand comes, probably the price will come down because they'll be able to order more, and you know how that goes with the more you buy, the less it is. So we'll see how that goes. They've got some great stuff. So I'm thinking about dabbling with that a little bit too. So it's T is kind of where N was 10, 20 years ago. And we see how far that has come. So give another 8, 10 years, T will be where N is now. So I think that pretty well covers gauges, scales, why we're doing what we're doing. Like I said, I don't really foresee any problems with doing all of the detailing that I need to do. If I can't find it, I'll print it. And again, I know a lot of people don't have that ability, but there are sellers online that you can go find any details you want at a pretty reasonable price. So I recommend looking into resources like that. So I think that pretty well covers everything. Like I said, we will be doing a build here fairly soon. I've just been swamped with doing bench work, and I mean, who wants to watch a person doing bench work? Everybody does bench work. Everybody knows how to do bench work for the most part. So it's boring. So that's all I've been doing for the past 2 weeks has been getting all this bench work in order and getting those things taken care of. So now we'll start to get into the fun stuff again like we were doing originally. So we'll start to, I'll start to show you how I put things together, like maybe, like I said, doing the paint demo on doing the buildings. Because there's a lot of really cool things that you can do now with these things. One thing I want to try, which I've never tried before, is I've seen flat walls that you can print off onto either a sticky, like an adhesive type of a paper, sticky back, or you could just print it on regular and then use like a 3M spray to where you can take, for example, I could take the side of one of these buildings right here that faces like the alleyway or the street. These walls that I'm now seeing up there, and they're free files, will be like a brick wall. You'll just have a long brick wall, and maybe there'll be some graffiti on it, or maybe it'll just be really weathered. You'll see bricks and patterns and all that and everything in it. And you just print it, and then you spray the side of the building, and you apply it, and it gives you this fantastic look. Looks like a real building in real life sitting there because of that effect of having that printed side on there. So I'm thinking about doing some of that on these just to experiment. I might try one or two. Now the faces, I can't do that, but the sides where it's mostly just a couple of windows and a flat surface, and maybe the backs too, I'm probably going to give that a try and see how that looks. And if I like how that looks, I will show you guys how I do that. And that'll be coming up here pretty soon. So that'll be, even though we'll call it a live session build, I may just be sitting at the desk and doing it the table and at the work table and showing you how to do those things. I'll get one done, I'll show you how it looks, and then I'll show you how to do it. But those...
I'm a caveman in the digital age. I make everything with my hands. I wanted to be high-tech, but I'm failing.
Okay. A fella said, somebody says that, hey, digitally doing modern technology things is not his forte. I understand that. I wouldn't be doing any of this without my son. There's no way I would have figured any of this out. So my suggestion for anybody that seems to be, that you may be thinking it's just too daunting to do this modern stuff, there's clubs. Go join a club. A module club, an NMRA group, whatever. These guys I have found for the most part are really good guys. And they help each other out. So it's a wonderful resource. And they'll come help. A lot of guys I know will come help. You know, they just love to do anything train-wise. And they have round-robin work sessions at their layouts and stuff. So if there's something that you're having a problem with, that would be my recommendation, would be to join a club, go see what they're doing, see if you like them and all that, and how you get along. And then if it seems like a group of guys that you like, then, or people that you like, I would just suggest start asking questions. Say, tell them that. Say, I'm not electronically literate as far as being able to do these kind of things go. And I'll guarantee you somebody's going to jump right in there and say, hey, that's no problem. What do you need to have done? I oftentimes will, with my weathering and the way I do my builds, people say, well, how'd you do that? And I'll say, well, that's how I did that. And I don't mind sharing information like that. Now, granted, if it's something that I'm making money on at the time, build of some sort, I'll just say, well, I'll have something available about that after a while. And then eventually I will. But if it's something that's just basic and stuff and you need to lend a hand, I'll try to do that. I was down at, to give you an example, I was down at a hobby shop the other day, and a guy was in and he was looking at an engine. He couldn't decide whether he wanted to buy it, and the guy was giving him a test run on it, and I said, you're gonna love that engine. I said, I've reviewed that engine on our channel, and I said, fantastic runner. You're never gonna, well, not never, but it's gonna be quiet, it's gonna be smooth, it's gonna do everything you want it to do, because I knew it did. So I was willing just to sit there and talk with it, and he bought it. I mean, I wasn't trying to make a sale for the store, but he bought it and he was very happy going out the door, knowing that he'd gotten some advice from somebody else. And that's what this hobby is great about, is people seem to be really willing to share information about what they've created, how they've done something, and they just willing to spend it. So don't get discouraged. People are out there to give you a hand. And if you have questions, we're here. We could send us a message. And if it's something I can help you with, if you're in an area that I know, I've got resources that I can maybe put you in touch with somebody that can give you a hand. Because I've traveled and lived in various parts around the country. So right now I live in an area that has per capita the most model railroaders in the entire country. So I've got a huge resource to pull from as far as experts go. So if anybody has any questions and I can't answer you, I'll put you in touch with somebody that can. So don't get discouraged. It's not worth it. It's a hobby. Don't let it get yourself down. There's people out here that can help you. You can see videos to help you yourself. So just have fun with it. It's supposed to be fun. So that's the most important thing, is just have fun. So if you can do that, then all right. So maybe yours doesn't look like the professional ones you see out there. So what? If you're having fun with it and you like what you've done and you're proud of it, then go with it. I mean, that's the one thing I have seen about this community more than anything else. Okay, not 100%, but I have seen guys post pictures on Facebook groups and stuff, and they're so proud of what they've done. And they put it up there, and it may not be the best. It may not be close to being the best, but they're proud of it. And man, the guys come out, this is fantastic. You're doing great. Keep it up. Hey, maybe suggest a little something right here. Let me tweak this a little bit. And usually it's none of it's ever disparaging. You get one or two guys that are real jerks about it, and they'll say, oh, that just looks like garbage. And man, boy, the rest of the community just hammers them. So it's a very good community. So don't ever feel ashamed or embarrassed about what you do. If you're happy with it, just go with it. And people will applaud you for the effort. So just have fun. That'd be my suggestion. So don't, right? So you don't know all the modern electronic stuff and everything. Doesn't take much to have fun with a train. One transformer, two wires, and a loop of track, and you can be running trains. So don't let it get you down. Have fun. All right. So I think I've tried to. Have we got any other questions?
Nope.
Okay. So I think I've tried to answer everything as best I could. I hope you all have taken some good stuff out of it. That it's encouraged you and you've liked what you've seen. And I know past couple of live sessions we haven't shown a whole lot, but that's because, again, like I said, it's been because of the bench work and getting the room organized and trying to get things done. But we'll be running trains one way or another. We'll be running trains next live session. That means I even have to go buy some Kato Snaptrack, throw it together, or Unitrack, and still throw it together, just start running things so I can see stuff running. I'll be doing that. So, but I should have this down, the HO down, at least where I've got a loop going, and we can start doing, showing off. I've got a lot of cars that I've done a lot of work on that I'd like to just put out there and show you guys. It's some really neat weathered things and some really custom things. So that'll be coming. So hopefully within a week, maybe we can have at most. I know I'm saying a week, but something could happen this week, health wise or whatever, and it just takes me out. But my plan is to have the loop done by next week. Now, we have Train Fest coming, 2 weekends from yesterday, will be Train Fest. Up in Milwaukee, everything goes well, we'll be live streaming from there. I think I've talked about this, but we will be going to the show live streaming. I'll talk to a bunch of the manufacturers ahead of time and see if they'd be willing to be filmed. And if they are, then I'll just let them get up there and talk about their new products and all the neat things they've got going on. And we'll hopefully maybe I can talk to some of the club members live that have the layouts there. So if you are going to plan on being there and you are a member of a club and you'd like to be featured on our live stream, get in touch with us in the next 2 weeks and we will we'll set it up. And I think we're going to be there on Saturday. We may come back on Sunday. It's not that far to get to. So we plan on being there both days. We'll have our shirts on that has that logo on it right there. It'll be a gray shirt. So if you see us walking around, come say hi. But we should be doing a live stream between now and then. And I do hope to get back to, after Train Fest, I do hope to be back to doing 2 live feeds a week of the stuff that we're working on, either showing you what's happened about every 3 or 4 days, or actually showing you us working on something on the layout.
Closet Branch says thank you and have a great night.
Oh, somebody said, thank you, have a great night to everyone, and from him, so you too. I hope you do too. Wherever you happen to be, I hope you had a good day and have a good night. So, all right, so if nobody else has any questions or anything, I think we're gonna kind of wrap it up there. This, of course, will be archived, and then it'll go to a regular video, one of our regular videos here, probably within an hour. So if you want to check it out, be sure to. But again, thanks for coming along, and I hope you've enjoyed it, and we will see you about a week. All right, take care, everyone.